What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to the channel, The Matrix of Gradelock. Now today we have a deck profile of General Magatron. Now this deck I've been having a lot of fun playing. Overall, you guys already know me, I love Decepticons, I love playing blue decks, and yeah. So recently I've been playing this deck against my teammates. I've been playing at locals, and then I've been having a lot of fun. Yesterday, I believe, yesterday, Saturday, me and my teammates, we went to Somerville, New Jersey. It's a local store called The Only Game in Town. So we had a lot of fun there. The funny part was when we was going there, I was assuming it was going to be like a $5 entry, like a local tournament. But as soon as we signed up, it was $20 or $25, and I was like, oh, so it's a bigger tournament. So it was pretty cool. Overall, I went 2 draws and 2 wins, and I top 4'd. I had lots of fun. Everyone was nice and friendly. It was great. The only downside that I had at the tournament was the whole draw procedure. That was not fun at all. That actually made me a little bit angry, but no, it's whatever. It's a card game. Can't do much about it. But I'll explain it later in the video, and let's get on the deck profile to show you guys why I love playing General Magatron. First card we're going to talk about is Megatron Aimless. This card is so good. So good. So the main point of him is being a sponge. Even though he has 0 defense, 8 health, and only 3 attack, the main point is to attack with him first and make your opponent waste a turn attacking him. And usually he doesn't even take any damage. That's the best part. So all my matches throughout the tournament, throughout yesterday's tournament at the only game shop in town, all of them were legitimate Insecticons. I played against, I believe, 3 Insecticons, and usually I'll attack Aimless at their kickback. If I go first and if they go first, they would attack with Shrapnel first, attacking Megatron or Flamewar, and usually I'll do maybe 2 or 3 damage. But when they attack with Shrapnel, I attack with Aimless, and surprisingly enough, Aimless has 3 attack exactly, so it can actually do damage against Shrapnel. Overall, Aimless, like I said, he's basically a sponge. He usually doesn't get one-shot killed unless my opponent overextends as much as possible that one turn. But Megatron Aimless is just so good as a sponge. Usually people try to avoid KOing him. They don't even want to put damage on him. They want to leave him there on the field. Usually what I do late game, if my Megatron's already gone, I would equip him with armor, with a utility, and Energonax. Now, but when he is KO'd, he turns into this Ion Particle Blaster. So what this card does is basically it gives 3+ attack to whoever equips it to, and when the upgraded character attacks, and if I flip at least 3 blues, I can do 3 damage to the defender. Now, usually that effect does not go off unless I flip 1 double blue and 1 blue, or if I flip a blue and a white pip. Now, this build is pretty much all heavy blue. There's only 3 cards that are not blue. I'm sorry, there's 9 cards that's not blue. But overall, this equipment is usually pretty plus. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of people avoid trying to KO him, so I don't really go into this that much because people want to leave him for last. But even though if they do leave him for last, like I said, if I equip him with Energonax, a good utility, good armor, he's actually not that bad of a character. So Aimless, I am so happy that we got this card. A lot of people complain saying, why is he not tough 4 like Lionizer? Lionizer is tough 4. I'm sorry, Lionizer is bold 4. So why is Aimless tough 4? To be honest, he doesn't even need it. He's fine at tough 3, and also if you have Flamewar face up with him, he's almost untouchable. Next we got Flamewar, of course. This is the side you always want to be on. Flamewar is just that good of a common card. I don't understand how Flamewar is a common. Not even the uncommon, it's a common card. It's just too good for any blue deck. Usually this side, I don't really flip. There was one time where I actually did flip Flamewar just to get this guy's effect off. So on this side, when you flip onto this side, I can give each of my characters a bold 1. So that gives them an extra check. So like I said, if I have this equipped to Megatron, I'm going to flip Flamewar. I give Megatron a bold 1. Megatron attacks. I flip 3 blues, and then this skill procs off. So like I said, this side I usually don't flip into, but I did once to actually win me a game, which was pretty cool. But usually you're on this side because this side gives all my characters tough 1. Usually a lot of players attack with Flamewar first for their attack order, but now that we have Aimless, like I said, Aimless is usually my first attack, and then my second attack is usually Flamewar. Now, even though both these characters are really weak in stats, usually I beef them up with the bigger they are, leap in the battle. I beef them up with Scoundrel Blasters or Energon Axe. So Flamewar and Aimless, they're not useless characters. They can do a little damage, depending what equipments I have and depending what battle actions I have. And then, of course, the MVP, Megatron. This card is so good. I love this card so much. All right, so let's actually start with this side. So on his alt mode, he's 5 attack, 15 health, and 3 defense. That three defense actually came super clutch for me in a lot of games. Usually I actually do flip onto this side when I know my opponent can potentially one-shot kill him. So I'm like, you know what? Let me flip onto this side to get that one extra defense. He is 13 stars, which is pretty high, but again, we're playing Aimless, who's 7 stars, and Flamewar, who's 5 stars. So it's a perfect 25 star lineup. When I flip onto this side, when I flip onto this mode, I can do 1 damage equal to the number of weapons I have on my field to one of my opponent's characters. Now that effect I abused so much. Usually I would have like a Scoundrel Blaster on Megatron, Scoundrel Blaster on Flamewar, and when I want to do two guaranteed damage, I'll just flip Megatron to deal 2 damage. The best part is that I actually KO'd that 2 units doing that effect. Unfortunately, like I said, he on this side he's 5 attack compared to this side he's 7 attack. But it's kind of worth it sometimes, especially when I'm going against my opponent who already has damage, attacking it, potentially one-shot killing it with 7 attack with the Scoundrel Blaster, and also, like I said, dealing 2 damage or 1 damage to another character that can potentially that can potentially KO that character. So this side I actually flip into a lot, which is not that bad. But of course, this side everyone wants to stay on because this side is the broken side. So his effect is when I'm on this side at the beginning of my turn, if I have 3 upgrades or more on him, I can deal 1 damage to each of my opponent's character. That is insane. So basically, he's a armored hovercraft at the beginning of my turn, every turn, as long as he has 3 upgrades or more. A lot of people are afraid of that. A lot of people actually side in so much upgrades destruction against me. But oh my god, it's just so good. I love Megatron. I'm sorry if I sound like a fanboy right now. It's just this card is definitely what the Decepticons definitely needed. Overall, this build is pretty much dealing damage and Megatron dealing the most damage. But let's get on with the battle deck to see which upgrades and which action cards I play. Now for the deck, I play 41 cards. I know it's a little odd number just for the fact that I'm actually playing 6 white pips. So I kind of bumped that up by one extra card so I can make sure that the deck doesn't hit multiple white pips while defending. But the deck is 41 cards, 19 upgrades, and 22 actions. Now I kind of wanted to do 20 upgrades, but unfortunately I didn't want to play that many. There wasn't too many good upgrades to play besides playing extra padding, which I'll show to you in a bit. As for pips, we played 3 orange pips and 6 white pips, and in total 32 blue pips. So pretty much, again, it's not your staple like everyday blue deck, because most decks that I play are usually 40 cards. I don't like playing more than 5 white pips, but in this build I actually kind of need that last white pip, which I'll explain in a bit. So let's start off with upgrades. This card is the card that Megatron needed so badly. Well, basically almost any blue deck. So extra padding, what it does is it gives the upgraded character tough 1, but when I play this card for my turn, if I have another extra padding in my hand, I can play it on the same character, and I can have 3 extra paddings on 1 character, which is broken because, again, I can have all 3 of these on Megatron, and Megatron's skill will activate next turn. So extra padding, I like it better than reinforced plating, just for the fact that if my opponent has Bastion Shield, they're going to Bastion Shield but only get rid of 1 extra padding, while I have two others extra padding. Now the one combo that actually killed this was actually Chop Shop. Again, I played against Insecticons, and whenever they play Bastion Shield on the Barrage, they would attack with Chop Shop, and then Chop Shop's skill moves the equipment to himself, and then the equipment skill will proc again, destroying another armor. So extra padding, I love it. It's a great card overall, and it's also a green pip, which is amazing because I can consistently search out for it always. Sad part is, unfortunately, whenever I'm defending with Aimless, I have the worst luck ever. And he would actually flip 2 copies of this. And I'm like, damn it, I need both of them, but I can only get one of them. So extra padding, again, it's a definite card to play for Megatron because, again, with extra padding, it helps Megatron's skill actually proc off more easier. Next, we play 3 reinforced plating, pretty much a staple in any blue deck. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of this because this is always a bash and shield target. Everyone always has a bash and shield for reinforced plating. So at this point, I mean, most of the time I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna play on my character. I would actually play on Aimless more than my other characters because if I play this on Aimless, they won't even bother trying to bash and shield it. So they would keep their bash and shield in their hand until later on when the Aimless actually does become relevant. Aimless with tough 5 is gonna be basically a big giant wall that they can't do any damage to. So reinforced plating, again, is basically a staple in every blue deck, but I'm not too much of a fan of it just for the fact that there is Bash and Shield, and this is Bash and Shield's #1 target. Of course, we're playing 3 handheld blasters. Any blue deck, of course, will play the free double blue pip. Next, we have 3 security consoles. This card is so good. All right, so the reason why I love this card is just the fact that it's a +1. It's a +1 after I activate it the first time. So what it does is basically whenever my character is defending, I can look at the top card of my deck. I draw the top card of my deck, and then I can potentially plan 1. I don't have to. I can potentially plan 1, put a double blue pip on top of my deck, so then I can reveal it while I'm defending. Usually, again, I don't really put back cards unless I actually do have a double blue pip, but this card is so good. This card is actually almost better than an armor. Most of the time, I have this equipment on my Megatron or Flamewar, and with this card, if I have my secret action in play, it's even more broken, which I'll actually show you later on in the video. Next, we play 3 armed hovercraft, and there's a reason why this card is now a $3 to $5 card. Armed hovercraft basically dealt damage to my opponent's whole board. Basically, whenever I put it on a ranged character, which Megatron's is a ranged character, and Aimless as well as a ranged character, which a lot of people actually don't recognize. Aimless is a ranged character. So whenever I play, I deal 1 damage to my opponent's whole team lineup, and usually it's actually devastating because most of the decks I've been playing against, they either play 4 wide or 3 wide. Insecticons, this card is just beautiful against Insecticons. Overall, if you're playing Megatron, you want to play Armed Hovercraft. Next, we play 2 Scoundrel Blaster. Now, I know a lot of you guys are gonna ask, why am I not playing 3 Scoundrel Blasters? The main reason why is because I usually only have 2 targets that I actually want to put this card on. I either want to put it on Aimless or Flamewar, or God forbid if I actually put on Megatron. But usually I only need 2 copies because the whole point is I want Aimless to actually be KO'd first before Flamewar and Megatron. Next, we have Energonax, the one of. Energonax I am a fan of, but unfortunately having 3 copies in the deck early game is really bad. So Energonax, I feel like it's a great overall card, mid-game, late game, early game. If I draw into both of them in my hand, they're a dead card. I can't do anything with them. Energonax, one I'm actually pretty happy about because if I draw into it, I save it for mid-game and actually goes off. I usually put Energonax on Aimless and Flamewar, but you know, Energonax, like I said, 3 attack, 2 pierce, it actually does a little bit damage. If I put on Megatron, that's a potential 1-shot kill with 10 damage. And last upgrade, Urban Cameo. Now this card actually comes in clutch a lot of the times. I am playing 4 utilities and this is the 4th one. So Urban Cameo basically does it gives me tough 1. That's it. But that tough 1 actually matters a lot of the time. Just for the fact that if I put that on Megatron or Flamewar, it actually makes them take 3 hits before they're KO'd. Well, for Flamewar, it takes like 3 hits to get KO'd. For Megatron, it's either 4 or 5 attacks, possibly 3 depending on what equipments that they play or what action cards they play. But Urban Cameo, I'm really happy with it. Like whenever I drew into it, I usually play it, and then my opponent's like, "Oh damn, I can't get rid of that tough 1 because either they don't main 3 ramming speeds, or all they main is just bash and shields." So this card overall, a lot of people underestimate, but a lot of people in game 2, if I do win, they would side deck into Vaporize or ramming speed just to get rid of this. But overall, playing 1 Urban Cameo is actually pretty good. Would I bump it up to 2? Possibly, if I had more space, but at the moment, I'm just playing 1 Cameo. Next, we have Battlefield Report. This card is beautiful in any blue deck. So what this card does is basically reveal when one of my characters defends. That's when I reveal it. When revealed, draw 2 cards, and then I have to put a card on top of the deck. So basically, it's not really like Security Checkpoint because I have to put a card on top of the deck. But with this card, I actually usually combo this card out with a Security Checkpoint. So let's say, for instance, they're attacking my character who has this equipped, and I actually do have this as my secret action for the turn. Usually when they attack me, I would proc this card first to draw a card. Now I wouldn't put a card back because no matter what, I know I have this card next. So then I would, as soon as I activate this card, draw a card and say I'm not going to put anything back, but then I'll activate this card, which will allow me to draw 2 more cards and then put a card on top. Now that combo is broken. Whenever I actually did that combo against my opponent, it's a +2, a +2, and also it helps me defend better against my opponent's attack. So Battlefield Report is just beautiful with a Security Checkpoint. Next, we play 3, the bigger they are. Pretty much a staple in every blue deck, especially if you're playing Flame War. This card just makes sure that Aimless and Flame War can actually do damage, and potentially I might play on Megatron to make sure that he can one-shot kill a character. Next card, we play 3 Swindles, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are going to question me on this. The main reason why we play 3 Swindles is to make sure that Megatron's effect can go off next turn or as early as possible. Now, even though Swindle is not a +1, Swindle is basically a -1 because you're playing a card to draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and then play another card. But the main point of this card, again, is to equip my Megatron with upgrades as fast as possible and potentially draw into my extra paddings as fast as possible. So Swindles, it's pretty much has to be a staple in this General Magatron deck. Next, we play 3 Leaving the Battle, pretty much a staple in any blue deck. This card just beefs up Flame War, beefs up Aimless, and potentially beefs up Megatron strong enough to one-shot kill a character. Next, we play 3 Security Checkpoints. Again, another staple card in any blue deck. What this card does is, when I play this card, each player reveals their hand and scraps all upgrades. Now, a lot of the times, I mean, if my hand's pretty bad, if I actually don't have any upgrades, maybe 1, I will play the upgrade for the turn and then play this card, and Security Checkpoint actually helped me out a lot of games, especially against Insecticons. When I knew my opponent had a Bastion Shield and had the Acrobats, the other upgrade that destroys weapons. When I knew my opponent had both of them in his hand, now I looked at my hand, I was like, sweet, I can play Security Checkpoint. So I played my upgrade for the turn and then played Security Checkpoint. My opponent revealed his hand. He had 2 grenade launchers, the Bastion Shield, and the other equipment that destroys weapons. And I was just like broken. So Security Checkpoint overall is a great card for any blue deck and can potentially take out your opponent's hand. Usually I see it take out like maybe 2 cards, maybe 1 card. Security Checkpoint actually backfired on me 1 game against Insecticons because my opponent had no upgrades at all. So that was pretty bad for me. But again, overall, Security Checkpoint, you want to play 3 of it. It's good in any blue deck. Next, we play 2 Marksmanship. The reason why I'm only playing 2 Marksmanship is because I'm still afraid of the whole Sentinel matchup. Sentinels is still a scary deck. I'm not a fan playing against it, even though I'm pretty much a fan playing Sentinels. But overall, Marksmanship is good at 2. I'm happy drawing into it every game. No matter what, there's not 1 game where I don't draw into Marksmanship. Overall, I have 2 ranged characters, and usually Aimless is my last character unless Megatron's my last one. So no matter what, Marksmanship does go off late game, mid game, and early game. Next, we play 2 Equipment Enthusiasts. This card is my draw card. Unfortunately, there's no other draw card that I can play. It's Decepticons. Decepticons don't really have that much draw power besides this. Equipment Enthusiast, what it does is for every upgrade I have on my field, I draw a card. So usually when I have 3 upgrades of Megatron, I play this card and I draw 3 cards, and I'm just like broken, sweet. This card will help me draw into my other extra paddings, help me draw into my leap into battles or the bigger they are. Overall, playing 2 copies of it, I'm pretty happy with. I was playing 3, but then I started realizing that whenever I draw into this card early game, mid game, I would draw into a 2nd copy and it would just clutter my hand. Because most of the time, again, if I have a bad game, my opponent is destroying all my upgrades, this card is just completely useless. So Equipment Enthusiast, I'm happy to keep it at 2. I'm not gonna bump it up to 1. But usually when we go to game 2, if I win that game, I would actually side this card out because my opponent sides in so much upgrade hate. Next, we play 2 Vaporize. A lot of you guys are gonna question me why I'm not playing 3. The main reason why is because the meta, no matter what, it's always gonna be orange, and a lot of orange decks don't really play upgrades that I'm afraid of. The only upgrades that I'm afraid of is Matrix of Leadership and Erratic Lightning, maybe. But 2 Vaporize is pretty good at the moment. Again, if I'm playing against a deck that has Lionizer, I would save this card because there's not one game where I don't draw into Vaporize. But if I am playing against another deck that has a Battle Master, then I would side into my 3rd Vaporize. Last card I play is Causal Leadership. What this card does is I can move 5 damage counters from one of my Decepticon leaders to one that has 8 stars or more to another character that I have. So usually if I actually have that damage on Megatron, I would play this card and then move up to 5 damage to Aimless. And usually that would actually KO Aimless, and Aimless effect will proc off, which I would equip it to Megatron. So this card it's good at 1. I wouldn't play 2 copies of it because again, I don't really want to clutter my hand. Aimless only has 8 health, Flamewar only has 10 health, so playing this card with this deck, it's not that great as a 3 of, possibly a 2 of, but at the moment I'm perfectly fine having this card at 1. This card I do draw into at times, depending how many cards I draw off Equipment Enthusiast. But this card, again, pretty good. Sometimes I would actually side it out, knowing what my opponent's playing. But overall, Causal Leadership is pretty good for Megatron. Alright guys, so that's my deck profile for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, please hit the like button. If you guys have any comments, leave a comment down below. I love reading comments, I love replying to your comments. So definitely leave a comment down below. And yeah, so I had lots of fun playing this deck at the only card shop in town. I had fun. I love playing this deck. I'm gonna play it even more later on once I get to my locals again. But like I said, the only problem I have when I enter a big event is that whole draw procedure I'm not a fan of. I actually really don't like it. It basically favors any orange deck. It's really bad if you're playing a blue deck. But I mean, like I said, you can try to play as fast as possible, but unfortunately, hopefully, Wizards change that ruling because I'm not gonna play this deck to its full potential if we actually go into game 3. So yeah, remember to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Deuces.